One of the most disputed Vuelta a España in recent years, emotion and tension to the last meter. Young Tom Dumolen against Fabio ARU's Astana. Do you want to know what happened on the way to Cercedilla during the 2025 Vuelta a España? Follow my wheel and I'll tell you. The 2015 edition was one of the most evenly matched Vueltas a España in recent years. With a lot of mountain, 13 stages with medium or high mountain, 8 mountain finishes, and a large number of riders among the favorites, everything was ready for a great show. Which, as you'll see, didn't give us a winner until the penultimate stage, in an epic day with an apostolic outcome. The big favorites to win the race were the Spaniards Joaquim Rodriguez and Alejandro Valverde, the Italians Vincenzo Nibali and Fabio ARU, members of the Astana team and the Colombian cyclists of the Movistar team, Nairo Quintana, other riders such as Mikel Landa, who had just made a spectacular Giro, Esteban Chavez or the Dutchman Tom Dumolen, also promised to offer great performance during the 3 weeks of competition. We can qualify the presence of the Italian Nibali in that Vuelta a España as testimonial, since the Astana rider was disqualified in stage number 2 for holding on to the team car during an ascent after a fall that left him off the peloton. The Italian had to go home. This wasn't the race's only controversy. In the 8th stage, Peter Sagan was run over by a motorcycle of the organization 8 kilometers from the finish line. The Slovak rider showed his displeasure by hitting the medical car and his own bicycle, and for this he was fined 300 Swiss francs. On stage 11, Sergio Paulinho was hit by a television motorcycle, causing his retirement. As you can see, it was a Vuelta with too many incidents, a race that was already marked from the very first stage. The 2015 Vuelta began its journey with a team trial in Puerto Banús, with an unusual route along the beach, with stretches of sand, a wooden bridge, and a narrow layout in which many of the protagonists made a walk. Times were neutralized and only counted for the team classification. Thank God we were already on the road where, as you'll see, we were able to live an even and exciting Vuelta a España, in which we had to wait until the end for an exciting outcome. Overcoming the first obstacle, next day came the first mountain stage, with the end in Caminito del Rey, a demanding arrival with 5 kilometers at more than 6% of average slope, where Esteban Chavez and Tom Dumolen got the first 2 places, becoming the Colombian cyclist the first red jersey of the Vuelta. Chavez and Dumoulin were the main protagonists during the first days, exchanging the leader's jersey between them and winning one more stage. The Colombian got the double on the way to Sierra de Cazorla with a brutal attack that only the Dutchman could resist, although at some distance. Dumoulin took his revenge 3 days later in the stage with the end at the top of Puig Llorenç in Benitachell. The rider of giant Alpecin attacked in the absence of 2 kilometers, was surpassed by Froome and Purito, and with a superhuman effort, drawing strength from where there was none, he managed to take the victory and the red leader's jersey in the previous part to the great stages of Andorra first and then the Asturian summits. In Andorra stage, we saw the first taste of the potential of the Astana team, dominating the race at the front with the stage victory and in the back where the favorites were. In a very hard stage where cyclists had to ascend 5,000 meters of positive slope distributed in 6 ports, including La Gallina, with the finish in Encamps, an ascent of 9 kilometers with several ramps that exceed 10%, the Spanish Mikel Landa was the strongest of the escape. Behind, waiting for his moment, seeing how Dumoulin and Purito started a bad war for both, it was ARU who imposed his law and arrived ahead of everyone in the fight for the general classification, also snatching the red jersey from Dumoulin, who stayed next to Purito half minutes from the Italian cyclist, just before the dreaded Asturian stages. The great beneficiary of the passage through Asturias was the Catalan of Katusha, Joaquim Rodriguez, who won at the top of Sotres, with an attack on the last ramps and very few differences, but who managed to wear red the next day in the stage with the final in La Ermita del Alba in Quiros. We talk about leader changes by seconds. As you can see, the difference between them remained in a single second. More emotion impossible. Dumoulin, almost 2 minutes away, was waiting for his specialty, the time trial. 9 kilometers where the climbers sank, Only ARU managed to hold the Dutchman, which kept his options intact for the last battle, the definitive stage, the stage of Cercedilla. 178 kilometers with 4 ascents, in which they would cross the top of La Morcuera by 2 of its faces and end in Cercedilla after the descent of Navacerrada, an ideal route for an ambush. From the beginning, a group of riders began to prepare the escape, led by Plaza, who managed to go alone. Behind, a group of 11 tried to hunt him down. Meanwhile, the peloton marched at a leisurely pace more than 11 minutes from the race lead. Already on flat ground, the leader of the day saw how his pursuers, now led by Movistar, approached. A mirage, since in the second ascent to the Morcuera, the distance was increased again to more than 2 minutes. Nothing could prevent his victory anymore. Astana set a hellish pace in La Morcuera, the third and hardest pass, 17 kilometers at 5.3% of the 4 that were climbed in the stage. Dumoulin was left off the peloton and chose to regulate his forces as he had done in other mountainous days. Landa pushed with rage to the point that Fabio ARU made him slow down. The Dutchman linked with the favorites, but didn't have time to breathe because the new acceleration of the Astana team was definitive. Dumoulin crossed the summit 15 seconds after his rivals. There was still hope if he managed to hunt on the descent. Ahead had left a group formed by ARU, Landa, Nairo Quintana, Rafael Maica, Purito Rodriguez, and Esteban Chavez. The red jersey regained strength on the descent, while Mikel Nieves reached his height. Minimal help. Dumoulin was sunken, but he still gave everything to save the Vuelta a España. He came to be 12 seconds behind until the key moment of the day arrived. 2 riders from Astana team who were on the breakaway, Luis Leon Sanchez and Andre Zeitz, took the lead of the group and pushed with all their strength. The difference was increasing cruelly, and very soon it was over the minute. Tom, with his head down, knew he had just lost the race, and it sank. With no teammates on the horizon, the Dutch rider was alone against the mighty Astana, a hard blow for the young 24-year-old. The Dutchman came within 3 minutes and 52 seconds of ARU and would eventually finish 6th. Meanwhile, enduring the fight among the others for a place on the podium during the ascent to Cotos, Fabio ARU entered the finish line of Cercedilla as a brand new champion of one of the most disputed Vuelta a España in history. Thank you very much for getting here. Subscribe so you can help us tell more stories. Click like, and if you want to continue enjoying the best cyclists in history, don't miss this.